This is just a little video between part 2A and part 2B about this section here, the fifth and reverse, and about synchros and how they actually are sort of backwards. Everyone I've seen coming from a strip box has always been backwards. So what I want to show you is this. If you're new to all this, and that's the purpose of these videos, just to show you real-time problems. You know, this little series we're doing, it's all about problems, not just do this, do that, do the other. It's things that you can catch a crab on and then have a misfortune of assembling it, and it won't work. So we want it all to work, don't we? So whenever you're disassembling anything, this is what I do. I just tie wrap the whole assembly together until I'm ready to clean it, and then sometimes I'll put two cable ties together, a really big one, so that these will all come out like this, look, and you can clean each bit individually and then put them back together again. So then you know they all clip together. That's kind of easy. That's pretty much straightforward. But there is a problem with these synchros, and they seem to be a thing about them, is that they'll only seem to go on one way. Now this is the fifth and reverse, and you can see there's 5 dimples. I'll just move it around a bit. So there's 5 dimples, so that should go to fifth. Now when we took it off this box here, I don't know if we can focus. Yeah, there's the 5. There's the 5 dimples pointing to reverse, exactly the same as we took it off. So what's going on? Well, it seems to be they're all the same but marked a bit different, and I'm going to show you a little technique that I do, and I've sort of recommended it to anybody who's doing a gearbox. Because you want to strip these down, and another reason is inside these little grooves here, they get full of contaminant metal, dark, you know, bits of metal, and I'm convinced that's why whenever you change your oil there's always bits of flaky stuff on your magnet. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from the gears, they're already bedded in, but whenever I've cleaned these out, and I'll do a picture of that one a bit clearer if you can see, I'll put it on the microscope, and you can probably see all the crap that's in here. I'm convinced it's from when you're changing gear. These gears are grinding together somehow. But that aside, taking them apart and keeping them together, this is the experiment. I use a little grinder like this, and I put a slight mark on the edge of the hub and the outer of this synchro. And the reason is this, and you can see I've got some black marks on there to show you where the little slippers go. There's those little elongated, you know, pieces of metal with the spring round. I'll take that off and I'll show you. Those bits there, see those bits? So let's put that back on. See how it slips on? Easy, isn't it? Now what if we turn this here to this point? And this is why I've marked it up in black marker. It won't go on. Well, it will with a hammer. It's tight. Let's go around again. Another third. Tight. Won't go on. Turn it back to its original place. Isn't that strange? Now, some people are going to say, well, yeah, but why don't you just turn it backwards? I can. Because these are actually machined identical. Here's one from a first and a second, and you can see there's only 1 dimple on that one. So I haven't marked this one to this one because that's where that came off. But let's try it, see how it goes on. Nope. 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 Let's try it once more. That is not going to go into there. won't go, they're tight. But if we spin it around, will it go on this way? How odd. Let's go around another third. Nothing. It's really funky, isn't it? They only seem to go on one way. And I've mentioned this in a few videos, that these seem to grow together. You know, they seem to only go in one place. And as many gearboxes I've stripped down, you know, like they've never been touched before, because the main shafts here have all shagged up. You know, these have all shagged up. And I've replaced the shaft. And I've found almost every single one, the fifth is pointing down towards reverse, whereas this here is the fifth gear. Isn't it weird? You can always tell fifth gear because it's got 3 gears. Reverse. Reverse gear's got a gear here, and a gear here. It's got 3 gears, right? 1, 2, 3. You can see that, can't you? Just like that. So you can't go wrong because you know that's fifth because it's only got 2 gears. The LT77 didn't have a synchro for the reverse. This has. So the LT77, there's a possibility of crashing it into reverse and making all sorts of grinding noises, where this has got a synchro mesh on reverse, so it's a nice smooth selection. But like I say, going back to this here, I'm convinced that these will only go back on in one way. But mark them just so it's easier. Where's my mark? There's my little mark. If you don't believe me, let's have a zoom in and see. So there's my mark. There's my mark. Boom. Straight on. No messing. It's so easy to make a mistake and press this on, because this has to be free moving, like Free Willy. Yeah. Now, how do these wear? They're very unusual. When you look at the book, it states that these teeth here, these little gaps, have to be shaped like a coffin. Now, this isn't a particularly good example. This one is scrap. You can see how the teeth are worn there. Let's find a good one here. Compare the two. Can you see? See how the teeth are all chewed up? That's where your filing's going to, your magnet. Alright? So, even though the synchros, just slow down before you change the reverse and things like that. But that's a pretty good example. Now, inside here, you will see that there's a shape. It's undercut. It has to be like that. That's how it is. It's for the other piece to lock into. Yeah, because which piece would it be? These little pieces here lock into those little gaps there. Is that? Can we see that? Yeah, there. So those teeth here lock into these bits, and the cones slow down the gears whilst they're locking in. If there's any damage here, scrap. So if you haven't seen them, now's the time to have a look, because if you take a box to pieces and it's like that, it's finished. There should be a nice point on the end with a little like coffin shape inside. Very important. I want to do these videos so that you don't make mistakes. The book itself is just like a guidebook. It might as well be a map of the Pyrenees for all I care. It's very vague. So this is what I want to do to help you, because the cost of sending a gearbox back to UK to get it repaired and back again is an absolute fortune. So if you guys in North America or continent of Africa or South America can learn something from these, it's great, because then you can save a bit of money, because you can do all these things yourself. It isn't really a big problem. The biggest problem, I'll show you, the biggest problem is getting that off the end of the main shaft. That goes onto here, and until you get that off, you're struggling. Now I know Ashcroft's do a little tool. It's like an adapter which moves that gap I think, I haven't seen one, he hasn't sent me one yet, or bought one of him, but it moves that gap and it clinches round to allow you to get a puller on, because this is extremely tight to the oil seal. Alright, not much room to get into it. Now I did have an idea about doing these once before, but it was about as, well, it wasn't very popular at all really. I'll show you my idea. So my idea was to pick up one of these bearing separators. These came from Prince's Auto. They were cheap as chips. They were only about $6 or $10 or something like that. But you can see where there's a cone here. What they need doing is machining parallel, so that gap goes into there nice and square. Now another thing you could do, because I was thinking you could turn this backwards, but there's not enough room, if you see what I mean, underneath. I mean, that's how it's going to be on your gearbox, but it's upside down. Can't win them, can you? So if you had one of these and you took this down to a friendly machine shop and you say, can you machine that down so it fits into there? Well, it shouldn't be all that much, but it would work well. I know that the tool I bought for this was very, very expensive, but I've had a good use out of it, so not too bad. And because these have got tapped holes in here, you can make a strong back and use some stud bar and then just pull out. But again, that's the hardest bit to do. So, I hope we've learnt something there. Like I say, if you can get a few ideas and do these things yourself, and you can always ask me, you know, I'll always tell, I won't hide anything. It's not a secret, you know. But that's how you want them to be, just drop straight on. If you get them wrong, forget it. But like I say, going back to these, when you take gearboxes apart, put all these things in big units. Don't have a box full of stuff like I got with well, it was like this one, wasn't it? It was the one before this one. It just came in 2 boxes all in bits, and we lost, well, I didn't lose bits, but there was bits missing all over the place. So keep them together. Tie wraps, cable ties, whatever you want to call them, are cheap as chips. So that's that. So I'll take some pictures of the inside of this with all the grot in it, and hope this helps you. See ya.